All right, old school NBA fans, self-research, NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. I forgot to mention a special thanks to my man G the Great. Send me the super thanks. Thanks a million. I really appreciate it. Sorry I forgot to mention you in yesterday's video, but I did not forget about you. Very much appreciated, well received, as always. In this video here, something I just I don't know how I didn't realize it or whatever, but people who say Michael Jordan era was weak, competition, whatever. The thing that I never put it together until now is that there's an argument, a very good one, I'm making it right now, that Michael Jordan was part of the best team of everything. And what I mean is the best all-star team, the best all-NBA team, the best all-defensive team, the best all-decade team, the best Olympic team, and the best just team of all time. Now there is, like I said, there's an argument to it, and it's going to come down to opinion-based. This is not, gospel by any means. So if you start in with what about this? What about that? You're missing the whole point. Of course, this is very subjective. But for me, the way I see it, no, I think that is how it is. Michael Jordan was on the best team of everything. So I left the spreadsheets out here, hoping you guys can focus in on them. But I am going to read them off. So the first thing I'm going to start with is the best all-star team ever. Now, there's a few candidates, but I think it's the 1990 East All-Star team is the best ever. So, sinuses. I did basically one for every decade, and there's a couple extra ones in there, ones that I thought were really strong. But, so in the 60s, the 1968 East All-Stars, really strong team. You got Wilt Chamberlain, John Havlicek, Oscar Robertson, Jerry Lucas, Sam Jones, Willis Reed, Dave Bing, Bill Russell, Dick Barnett, Hal Greer, Gus Johnson, and Dave DeBusschere. So of those 12 players, you have 10 top 75 players and 2 additional Hall of Famers. Very strong team. 3 of my top 16 on my ranking of all time are on that team. That's a very strong team, no doubt about it. Okay, the 1971 West All-Star team, also in the running, strong team as well. One difference, though, is back then they allowed you to have 14 players. So you have to factor that in. The 71 West All-Stars consisted of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jerry Lucas, Jerry West, Dave Bing, Connie Hawkins, Oscar Robertson, Bob Love, Lenny Wilkins, Elvin Hayes, Chet Walker, Wilt Chamberlain, Dick Van Arsdale, Jeff Petrie, and Jeff Mullins. Well, that consists of 4 of my top 16 players of all time. Kareem, Jerry West, Oscar, and Wilt Chamberlain. So that's very strong. And there is a total of 8 top 75 players. A very strong team. That was the best one of the 70s, bar none. The 1987 East All-Stars was also very strong. In the running is the best one. That consisted of Moses Malone, Larry Bird, Dr. J, Michael Jordan, Dominique Wilkins, Kevin McHale, Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley, Jeff Malone, Bill Laimbeer, Maurice Cheeks, and Robert Parrish. That is 4 of my top 14 players of all time, and a bunch of additional top 75 players. Great, great team. But 1990, to me, top to bottom, is the best. Now, there is a couple teams that might be a little bit better at the very top, but top to bottom, no. I think it's the 1990 East All-Stars all day. That team was Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, Patrick Ewing, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Robert Parrish, Kevin McHale, Dominique Wilkins, Joe Dumars, Reggie Miller, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. So of the 12 players, 11 were top 75 players. And the only one that wasn't was Joe Dumars, who is in the Hall of Fame. Top to bottom, that is a very strong team, including the best player of all time. You got another top 6 player in Larry Bird. I mean, it's loaded with great players. Every one of them are top 75 except for Dumars. And he's not exactly a weak link. I mean, he's, probably a top 100 player, you would say, easy. All right, the other ones in the running, this was probably the tightest one, was probably the All-Star teams. The rest of them, no-brainers for me. But the 1998 and the 2000 West All-Stars were very good. The 98 West All-Stars is Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Karl Malone, Eddie Jones, David Robinson, Vin Baker, Nick Van Exel, Jason Kidd, Mitch Richmond, and Tim Duncan. So if you go by the ages of the players, then I would say the 98 West is not even going to compete with the 1990 East All-Stars. Because the 1990 East All-Stars, every player was in their prime with the exception of Kevin McHale's like 31, so he might have been on the edge of his prime. Larry Bird, I think, was 33, so he was probably just outside his prime. And Robert Parrish, I think, was 35, so definitely outside his prime. But everybody else in that team was a prime player. The 98 West, Gary Payton was in his prime. Kobe Bryant was only 19 years old. Kevin Garnett was also very young. He might have been like 20, definitely not in his prime yet. Shaq was in his prime. Karl Malone was maybe past his prime, but he was in between MVPs. And then you got like Eddie Jones, who might have been, I guess, in his prime. He was a 3-time All-Star. David Robinson, he was probably still in his prime. Vin Baker, a 4-time All-Star. Nick Van Exel, his one and only All-Star, was on that team. Jason Kidd was in his prime. Mitch Richmond at the edge of his prime, but still in it. And Tim Duncan was a rookie. So I would say based on the ages and everything, all things considered, the 90 team is definitely better. Now here's the real competition. The 2000 West All-Stars. Really close, but I still think the 90 East team edges them out just because top to bottom, they were so good. But the 2000 West All-Stars, Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Karl Malone, David Robinson, Jason Kidd, Tim Duncan, Rasheed Wallace, Chris Webber, John Stockton, and Michael Finley. I think at the very top that you got Duncan, Shaq, and Kobe, 3 top 10 players. So at the top, yes, they probably are maybe a hair better. However, you got Rasheed Wallace, who's not even in the Hall of Fame. Chris Webber is in the Hall of Fame, but not a top 75 player. And Michael Finley, just a 2-time All-Star. So I think the bottom of the team, with the top, it kind of evens it out a bit. And I think that the 1990 East All-Stars that has 11 of 12 top 75 players just makes it an overall stronger team. But it is close. And I also think that Malone is outside his prime. David Robinson is just now outside his prime. He's like 34 at that point. John Stockton definitely outside his prime. So of the remaining 9 top 75 players, 3 of them are definitely outside their primes. 6 of them are squarely in their primes. I think Gary Payton, Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, and Tim Duncan. Those guys are definitely in the prime. And I guess Chris Webber too. But it is close. But the 1990 team, 11 of 12 top 75 players. That's the only All-Star team I've ever seen have that. All right. Another one in the running, the 2015 West All-Stars. It was the best All-Star team of the 2010s. James Harden, Steph Curry, Marc Gasol, Klay Thompson, LaMarcus Aldridge, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, DeMarcus Cousins, Damian Lillard, Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, Anthony Davis, and Blake Griffin. It's a good team, no doubt. But is it the 2000 or the 1990 good? No. The best one in the 2020s that I saw was this last year, the West. They had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kevin Durant, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Karl Anthony Towns, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. A very good team as well, but they're not as good as the 2000 West or the 1990 East. No, let's not get nuts. Very good team, though. And these guys, we don't even know their full potential yet either. But I would say, all things considered, you got to go with the 1990 East All-Stars as the best All-Star team of all time. I don't see how you're going to beat 11 out of 12 top 75 players. I just don't see how you're going to beat that. And you got the GOAT to go along with it, and Larry Bird that a lot of people have in their top 5. Okay, so now we've established the All-Star. Next is the best Olympic team. So the only ones I've really ever heard to be in the running, and I've heard stupid Colin Cowherd say that this 2024 team was better than the Dream Team. Like, you are an idiot. You're a fool and a moron. And then I've heard people say the Redeem Team was as good as the Dream Team. Well, let's take a look. Okay, so the 2024 Team USA, Joel Embiid, Jason Tatum, Derek White, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, Steph Curry, LeBron James, and Devin Booker. Now, it's important to point out that LeBron James was 39 years old. Curry I think he was 36, and Kevin Durant, I think, was 35 or 36. Yeah, they're still doing, very good for their ages, in this soft league. Even the older players look better as long as you're in good physical condition. But I just don't see the list of killers that the Dream Team had. The 2008 Redeem Team, I thought, even might have been a hair better than that team. I mean, Bam Adebayo is a good player. Jason Tatum, sure, they're good players. But Anthony Edwards is a good player. But, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, Devin Booker, Derek White. I mean, okay, yeah, they're good, but again, not killers. So your best players are 36 or older, and some of these guys, like Anthony Edwards, wasn't he on the 2023 national team with, I think, Halliburton and some other guys that were on this team, and they got waxed, didn't even medal? I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So they had to bring in the old guys, and they had struggles, against what was it? Was it Serbia and France? Right? I mean, they didn't crush them, and then even the one team, I can't remember who it was in the preliminary round, or it might even have been like an exhibition game. They beat them by 1 point, and they had like a bunch of nobodies. So. No, not going to fly. I'm sorry. If not for the heroics of Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and all that, they're getting beat. Nikola Jokic and them, they're beating that team. They got very lucky to win. And I understand the Dream Team's competition wasn't as good. Agreed. But they let no one near them. They just smashed everybody. I mean, nobody got near them. And like I said, there was that team in the preseason that, they won by 1 point. They barely beat them. Uninterested. Don't want to hear it. Okay. The Redeem Team in 2008, which was solid, pretty good team. I'd say every bit as good as the 2014. Chris Paul, Darren Williams, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Michael Redd, Tayshaun Prince, Kevin Durant, Dwight Howard, and Jason Kidd. It was a good team, no question. But the 92 team, you got John Stockton, who's probably a top 30 all-time player. He's the best assist man of all time, no doubt about it. Magic Johnson, he's my number 3 player of all time. He was 32 years old, not even close to washed. He comes back for the All-Star game in 92 and wins a legitimate All-Star MVP. The year before in 91, he finished second for MVP and led his team to the finals. So bull crap on that. Clyde Drexler. Here's a guy who beat, I think, 6 top 75 players without ever playing with one. As soon as he plays with another top 75 player, he wins the championship. And that's at like 33 years old. Okay? Clyde Drexler is like a poor man's Dr. J, filling up the stat sheet. Then you got Michael Jordan, what can you say? Scottie Pippen, Larry Bird, even though at 35, he was still balling out. Go check his stats. Charles Barkley, Karl Malone. Those are 2 of probably the 5 best power forwards ever. Chris Mullin, David Robinson, who's firmly in my top 25, Patrick Ewing, and then, Christian Laettner. Okay, they had 1 weak link because of the college or whatever. But, I mean, come on, you had Tayshaun Prince and Michael Redd, they were good players, but not killers. This is a list of killers, the 92 team. And the 24 team, come on. I don't think so. So anyway, the Olympic team clearly was the 92 Dream Team. Now, best first team All-NBA. There's just no other choice. It's the 1988 team, and it's just not close. Okay. I wrote down a couple other ones that I thought might be in the running. 1967, you got Rick Barry, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain, and Oscar Robertson. That's a great squad. I mean, that's 4 of my top 24. Rick Barry, somewhere, top 35 for sure. So that's a great team. The 1991 All-NBA team, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, and David Robinson. That all 5 of them are probably like top, 27, 28 of all time. The 2004 All-NBA team was good. Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, Kobe, and Jason Kidd. You got 4 top 20 players on that team. Excellent team. The 2010 All-NBA team, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Dwight Howard, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade. Very good team. The 2013 All-NBA team, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and Chris Paul. You got 4 top 20 players on that team. Very good. The 2021 All-NBA team is what I felt was the best one in the 2020s, which was Giannis and Kawhi Leonard, Nikola Jokic, Steph Curry, and Luka Doncic. That's a really good team. Now, you want to get to the best team, and it's not close. The 1988 All-NBA team was the best ever. And if you're going to argue it, please give me your best shot at it, because I got the second team in 1988 was John Stockton, Clyde Drexler, Dominique Wilkins, Karl Malone, and Patrick Ewing. That was the second team. Pretty damn good team, wouldn't you say? The first team was Magic Johnson. He's my number 3 all time. Michael Jordan, my number 1. Larry Bird, my number 6. Charles Barkley, who's probably right around 26, something like that. And Hakeem Olajuwon, who's my number 8 player. So 4 of the top 8 players of all time are on that team. And the 5th player is Charles Barkley. You got nothing like that. Trust me. You got the best point guard, the best shooting guard, and the best small forward of all time. And you got, and I think it's the 2nd or 3rd best center of all time. And Barkley's definitely a top 5 power forward. Please, you ain't touching that one. Good luck. All right. The best first team all defense. Again, this one wasn't that close to me. But again, if you guys think something else, there was really only 3 teams to choose from. All the other all defensive teams were just not even close. It's one of these 3. All right. The 1993 team is Joe Dumars, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman. Now, this is just defense we're talking about. The 2000 all-defensive team was Kobe Bryant, Gary Payton, Kevin Garnett, Alonzo Mourning, and Tim Duncan. That's a really good team as well. But I feel the 1996 team was the best ever because 4 of the 5 guys won Defensive Player of the Year. And then I think the other guy was like 8-time first team all defense. You got Gary Payton. You got Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and David Robinson, 1996. I mean, come on. I mean, Payton's probably the best defensive point guard of all time. Jordan, the best defensive two guard of all time. Pippen, the best defensive small forward of all time. Dennis Rodman, maybe either him or Tim Duncan, the best defensive small forward of all time, who some people say is the best on-ball defender ever. And then David Robinson, who's definitely one of the best defensive centers, won a Defensive Player of the Year. And if you don't like that team, maybe the 93 team, these guys are a little bit younger. It comes down to who do you think is better, David Robinson and Gary Payton, or Hakeem Olajuwon and Joe Dumars? What do you think? I thought the 96 was just a smidge better, but either way, it's either the 93 or the 96 team. The 2000 is probably third best, and they're really good, but no, they had, I think, 3 guys that won Defensive Player of the Year, where the 93 team also had 3, and the 96 team had 4 of the 5 guys won Defensive Player of the Year and are regarded as the best defensive player at their position. So that's going to be tough to get past. So I don't see how it's not the 96 team, but whatever. The best all-decade team, as long as a player played at least half the decade. So they had to play at least 5 seasons. The 1980s team is the best. But there is a couple teams to consider. All right, I broke it down by decades. The 1950s, the all 1950s team is point guard Bob Cousy, shooting guard Bill Sharman, small forward Paul Arizin, power forward Bob Pettit, and center George Mikan. That's a good team, but it's not even close. The 1960s team, which is great, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Jerry Lucas, either Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell. Take your pick, either one there. The 60s team is great, better than the 50s. The 70s was good, but the 60s is even better. The 70s was Walt Frazier, George Gervin, Dr. J, Elvin Hayes, and Kareem. A good team, no doubt, but the 60s is better. The 1980s, which to me, it's not close. You got Magic Johnson at point guard. You got Michael Jordan at shooting guard. Larry Bird at small forward. Either Kevin McHale or Charles Barkley, either one you want on that one. And Kareem at center. You have, for me, 4 of the top 6 players of all time is in the 1980s team. So I don't know how you're going to beat that. The 1990s team was pretty damn good too. You got John Stockton at point guard, Michael Jordan at shooting guard, Scottie Pippen at small forward, Karl Malone at power forward, and Hakeem Olajuwon at center. A very good team also, but not as good as the 80s. The 2000s team, I got Jason Kidd, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tim Duncan, and Shaq. Now that's 4 of the top 11 players of all time, but that's not 4 of the top 6 like the 1980s. Good team, the 2000s, just not as good as the 80s. The 2010s, you got Steph Curry, James Harden, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard. Come on, no way. 2020s, pretty good team. Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic. There's some really good players in there. But you can't mess with 4 of the top 6 players of all time. Forget it. Not happening. And then it comes down to the very last one, the best actual NBA team of all time. Now, I know they probably didn't have the best top-to-bottom roster. I would agree with that. They were not a super team, no matter how much the LeBron camp tries to make that happen. They just weren't. I mean, they got Dennis Rodman for Will Perdue. You think if the Spurs could have got something more, they would have done it? Yeah, exactly. So, the 1996 Bulls were, counting the playoffs, 87-13 for an 87% winning percentage. This right here is the highest winning percentage of all time. So if all the people in the 2010s, all the people in the LeBron camp and the young people are going to stick to the Warriors. They were the best team ever, best regular season team ever. If you're going to stick with that, then you have to say then that the Bulls were the best overall team, regular season and playoffs of all time. How could it be any other way? They got the highest winning percentage. No one's ever won 87% of their games. It's never happened. I looked it all up. No, they are the best. So, the point of this video is, if Michael Jordan's era, if Michael Jordan's competition was so weak, how then was he on the best all-star team of all time? Or if you don't think so, then it's neck and neck with whoever you think is better. The best Olympic team ever. Not even sure how it's up for debate. But again, it's going to be razor thin if they're not the best, but I think they are. The first team All-NBA, it's not up for debate. It's 4 of the top 8 players of all time are on the 1988 first team All-NBA. So you're not going to find any other first team All-NBA that has 4 of the top 8 players. The best first team All-Defense in 96. Again, the only other team would be the 93 that Jordan's on also. It's either one of those two, with 2000s probably being third. And then the best all-decade, how could it not be the team that has 4 of the top 6 players of all time? And then the best record of all time, which is not up for debate, the 96 Bulls. So there you have it. Again, if Michael Jordan era was so weak, then how was he on the best team of everything? Everything. All of it. Defense, All-NBA, Olympic team, All-Star team, actual team, all-decade team. Make it make sense. All right, that's all I got for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. And if you think that there's some other team, or something I should be considering, please let me know. Hopefully you can zoom in and see these spreadsheets and decide for yourself, who do you think was the best at all these? I made my case, so, if you don't think so, I'd love to hear what do you think I should be considering. So anyway, thanks for watching, and that's it. Till next time.